Digital signage is a very comprehensive and multifaceted communications tool, which we talk about all the time. And I can't think of a market that more exemplifies that than what we call the retail market, because retail can be just about anything that the public goes to. So we're going to talk about some of the ins and outs of retail digital signage today with Jason Cain, Region Sales Manager for the South Central area of the United States for Visix. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Excellent. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to this episode of Digital Signage Done Right. Don't forget you can subscribe to this podcast, and you can follow along with a full transcript of our conversation on the Visix website. Just go to Visix Resources Podcasts. Whether you're using digital signage or not, our podcast gives you practical tips for communications and content to better engage your audience. I'm Derek DeWitt. Welcome to Digital Signage Done Right. So, as I said, the retail space is it's a big one, right? It kind of covers all sorts of stuff. Like you say the word retail, my first thought is, like a shop, like a clothing shop or a bookstore or something like that. But it's way more than just that.
Yeah, I think just like you do, when you hear the word retail, you immediately think of a department store. However, retail is anything that the public has access to. So it can be a bank, it can be a credit union, it can be a car dealership, a grocery store. I mean, it's just endless.
Right. Museums, amusement parks, anything.
Yeah, exactly. Zoos, casinos. I guess the word retail would be a stretch for a casino, but it still is a public place.
There is money changing hands.
Yeah, it's usually just one way.
That's true. Obviously, we're talking about places where people are visitors and they're also customers to some extent. They're buying admission perhaps, and obviously in a museum they're there to see the exhibits, but in most retail spaces they're there to get either goods or services. And it seems to me that really digital signage really helps focus that sort of customer-centered communications that I think a lot of organizations and companies and venues want to do these days.
Yes, absolutely. The nice thing about digital signage, not only can it be engaging to the customers that are visiting whatever the location is, but it can do dual purpose. So you can have non-public facing digital signage that helps communicate things to the employees. And then you can also, of course, have the public facing digital signage that showcases things, displays things, talks about things. I mean, there's just an array of things that it can do.
It almost bridges the in-store experience and the online shopping experience. You know what I mean? Like it's a ridiculous statistic. It's something like well over 85% of American adults shop online semi-regularly. So they're already used to thinking about some sort of digital interface when they shop. And so now they're in a store, and it just seems like a natural extension and a way to sort of marry those two experiences into one.
Yeah. So, I mean, it absolutely is a seamless transition, if you will. So everyone is on their computers probably 90% of the day anyway. So when they go into a retail location, seeing something on a screen is just quite natural.
And so what are people using the digital signs for? Obviously promotions, I should think, like, hey, here's some of our stock, or here's a sale that's going on and stuff like that. What else have you seen in the way of types of messages?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of different things. So if you look at banking institutions, they'll put, credit card rates, their mortgage rates, they'll put any kind of promotions that they have to include, new member incentives, et cetera. So if you think of a banking institution, you're there in person. And if you're there in person, you may be waiting. So that gives them an opportunity to advertise. But I've also seen, a different perspective, such as at a zoo. Zoos will use the digital signage to become interactive or explain what an animal is or what, their native habitat is. I've got grocery stores that use it for menus. So inside the grocery store, a very popular chain is using the grocery store experience, and they have restaurants inside of the grocery store. So you can eat there, or you can get a meal that's already prepared for you, and they use the digital signage for menus.
Wow. So it's like, is it interactive or is it static?
It's not interactive per se for the customer to interact with it, but it has really good looking pictures of the food that, really promotes how good the food looks and, how it's going to be. It's really enticing.
Yeah, there's nothing that gets me hungrier than seeing a really good image of food. Now I want that thing that I just saw. If it's pizza, now all I can think about is pizza.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am.
Now, there are interactive menu boards as well, I think, aren't there? Like food courts and things like that will sometimes add a bit more information, maybe nutritional information, or do they even tie into like current stock? Like, hey, we have, this many muffins left at the cafe.
I actually have a casino that they have several restaurants, as most casinos do, and you can actually interact with the screen and see the different restaurants. You can see the menu. You can even make a reservation. And the cool thing about that is, especially from the casino's perspective, is the interactive wayfinding is on the casino floor, which is where they want you. So you can make your dinner reservation and still keep your money in the slot machine while you're waiting to eat.
Now, it's interesting. You said wayfinding. I would imagine, obviously, a small, a gas station or a mom and pop shop doesn't really need to have wayfinding, But a place like a zoo, for example, I should think wayfinding would be incredibly useful, or even, a university campus or something like that. You get these places that are spread out and people do need to figure out how to get places.
Yeah, absolutely. Zoos, museums, larger corporate offices that are, public access to them. Wayfinding is a very, very critical piece of the deployment. I mean, if you think about a zoo, the last thing you want is for somebody to end up in the lion's cage. So wayfinding can keep them on their way to the souvenir shop.
Right. Or you got the kid who's like, look, I want to see the gorillas. Where are the gorillas? Mom and dad are thinking, I have no idea. But if we don't get this guy gorillas in the next 10 minutes, it's going to be chaos. Oh, thank God. Interactive wayfinding. Gorillas, thank you.
Yes, exactly. If the gorillas are awake, that's a bonus, but yes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I know sometimes interactivity is also stuck into a digital sign in a kiosk. So like, somebody was telling me not long ago, like even some car rental places they'll advertise their rates, and then you have buttons there where you can sift through and decide, ooh, that car, not that car, change the dates, and actually make a tentative reservation right there at the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. The things that you can do is really endless. This is a little different, but it just reminded me. So I had a shopping district that they wanted to cater more to their clientele. So not only is it digital signage, but it's also wayfinding. The cool thing is the wayfinding is in English, Mandarin, and Spanish, and you're in control of which language you need to use.
That's great, because that's one of those things I think that really just adds to that visitor or customer experience. Like, yeah, you did your research. You found out Mandarin and Spanish are the next most common languages in the area. Like, it would be stupid to do Mandarin if there are no Mandarin speakers, obviously.
Yeah, correct. And this is a very large destination shopping district that they, just like you said, they know their clientele based on the brands and the offerings that they offer at the shopping district, and they know that it meets those demographics.
So like a big shopping district absolutely makes sense. Do you see smaller retail venues also going for digital signage, maybe just one or two screens up?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, it doesn't matter whether you be a small, mom and pop retail thrift store or a very large, corporate style retail location. It doesn't really matter the size. It's all about engaging with your potential customers that have come in to do business with you. So whether it be one screen or 50 screens, it's all about that extra interaction. And, and if you think about it, there's a lot of places that you go to nowadays that the customer service isn't like it was, back in the 80s and 90s before, things went to the way they are, where it's kind of more web-based shopping. So what a great way to bridge that kind of lack of customer service with at least having an informational display telling you things that you may have questions for that you just can't find somebody to answer.
Yeah, sure. Plus, it kind of almost acts as an FAQ. Look, these are the most common questions we get asked. We stick the answers up here on the displays, and then the staff that we do have can then spend their time sort of dealing with more outlier type situations or personalize their interactions a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen retailers who now, if they don't have the price of the item that you want to get, displayed on the actual item, they've got scanners, so you can scan and find out what the price is without having to, locate somebody or go pay for it blindly. So same thing with the screens, the most common, questions, or, you're there to look at something, whatever that something is, doesn't matter, but the screen can be used to highlight more about it. So, if you picture at car dealerships, they used to, and I don't know if they still do, but car dealerships used to have lots and lots of literature, just literature everywhere. And so if you were there to look at the new, whatever it is you're looking at, you would scroll through a magazine or a brochure about the different colors, features, etc. Well, that's all gone. Now that's all gone, digital. So what a great application in a car dealership to just have all the different options for all the different vehicles on screens.
Right. And, I know some companies are sort of marrying the physical and the digital into a seamless whole. Like I've seen a couple of, I think they're prototype test machines, but so it's for shoes, sports shoes. You go up and they have their whole catalog there, and you choose your shoe and choose the color and choose the size, all using the interactive screens. And then you wait, and I guess the order goes back into the warehouse. Those shoes are fetched, stuck on a conveyor belt, and they come out right there at a little hatch attached to the digital sign, and you've got your shoes.
Wow, that's really neat. I've actually not seen or heard of that.
I read an article recently that said that especially when we get into 3D printed materials, this is something that's probably really going to become much more commonplace. I hate to say it, but you won't need a cashier. You won't need someone stuck in sort of this minimum wage job. You'll in fact still have people on staff, but they'll be able to be more of almost like a personal shopper to help make the experience better for people. But the nitty gritty of, I want that, here's my money, let me have it, will all be taken care of using this kind of technology.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. There's some pretty large furniture stores that have started to do something very similar. So you walk in and, they still have the showroom. They still have the furniture that's displayed on the showroom, but then they have screens that you can see, if you're looking at a couch and it's gray, what does it look like in red or yellow or blue? Then it shows you if it's in stock or not. And then you can actually do the whole procedure on the screen. So you can apply for financing, you can get approved, or you can put in your credit card. And it literally just tells you what bay to drive your vehicle into if you're not going to do delivery, and all of a sudden they show up, they put it in your car, and away you go.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Come on, that's the future we were promised when we were kids.
Yeah, the Jetsons were almost right, but no flying cars yet.
I've seen some drivers. I'm kind of glad that we don't have flying cars, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I just don't know that they need another dimension to operate in.
Yeah, well, those same drivers actually have flying cars. They just weren't designed to be up in the air like they make them.
Yeah, that's true. I'll get my car in the air any way I can.
Right.
You also mentioned that larger retailers are using it for staff communications as well. So what?
If you've got any type of, events that are coming up, you can put that on there. You can talk about any kind of benefit sign up or any type of policy. Just anything that you can imagine, you can put on there. A lot of retail places are very competitive with their staff because obviously their staff's goal is to sell whatever that product is. So what great way to, ramp up the competitiveness than to display how people are doing right on a screen. The old saying is winners keep score. Well, if you've got some sort of a metric on all of your screens showing who the top salesperson is for the day, the hour, the week, the month, it just breeds, competitiveness and can increase your sales.
Oh, sure. That makes absolute sense. And speaking of increasing sales, there have been now numerous studies. This technology has been coming into the retail space for a few years now, and we're starting to see some real studies. And it's really just kind of astonishing how much they affect people's buying habits even. People tend, and it's a ridiculous number, it's well over 70% or something, people who are in, let's say, a shop with digital signage, they see something on the screens and it's kind of like an electronic end of aisle display. They very often buy it. And something like 45% of people in this one survey said that they're in line with what they're going to buy. They see a similar item advertised on the screen and it looks better there because it's a really nice picture. And then they get out of line and they go change it to what they saw on the screen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Each retail location has a different, thing that they can do to promote whatever it is they want to promote. As you mentioned before, when you see pizza, now you want to eat pizza. So if you think of a restaurant, whatever they really, really want to sell, if they have that playing on the display over and over again, by the time you get ready to place your order, you're going to order that. Or if you're in a casino and they show somebody winning a big jackpot on their screens, and casinos do this a lot. They'll have somebody hit, the big jackpot and they'll take a picture of them holding the big check. And so now all of a sudden I need to go play slot machines because you just got me enticed. Or you walk into a bank and they've got a picture of, somebody sitting in Cancun, Mexico on the beach. And right behind that, they say, use your whatever the bank name is, credit card to earn rewards to go on this vacation.
So in addition to promoting goods and services, communicating with staff and employees and keeping them up to date on what's happening and maybe fostering a little good-natured competition, of course, digital signs can do even more than that. I mean, the thing I'm thinking of is like alert messaging. These are physical locations, shopping center, an airport, a hotel, anything, taxi stand. Hey, there's a storm a-coming. It would be nice to know. And they do a lot of these places include some sort of alert messaging that's CAP compliant and ties into everything so that if they need it, they have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the nice thing is they can have it segregated. So let's just say that it's, a very big retail type of operation and they've got multiple locations. They can all be using the same CAP compliant alert notifications. But if, the tornado is coming to Manhattan, you don't need to maybe, alarm the people in Long Island. I'm not a big person of New York, so I just made that up. But you get what I'm saying. So yeah, you can absolutely do that. And then you can also do a manual trigger, meaning that if there's something happening, you can manually go in and have all your screens letting the public know what's going on.
Right. Like you find out, oh, hey, guess what? we're closing because this thing is happening. We can just override the screens and tell everybody, hey, this is the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Do you find retail venues and companies use analytics very much, like, tracking how many times a message was played, content submissions, who logged onto the CMS, the system, things like that?
Yeah, it's becoming more and more popular. In a lot of places, they're really, getting involved with doing things such as, putting in your phone number and we'll text you something. It could be directions, it could be a coupon, it could be information. And then, of course, they like to know that data, like, how many people per day were actually interacting with the sign, or what was the most viewed piece of content on the screen. Those type of things. Retail locations are always trying to determine what's working and what's not working.
Sure, that makes sense. And, it also occurs to me, some places like, I don't know, say a shopping center or even a student union, maybe, like they could sell ad space to nearby local businesses and then give them that data and say, look, we showed your message, X number of times. Did you see an increase in sales?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really popular in student unions, with whatever the local place is that, would really like to get more students to come there, whether it be a coffee shop or a little sandwich shop or something like that. When we were talking about the zoo and the museum, they oftentimes put a lot of advertising focus on the souvenir or gift shop because that's an extra, realm of revenue they can make. The casino, the ones that I've interacted with, they're constantly updating and putting whatever the drink specials are, whatever the dinner specials are, things like that.
Plus, activities like you get sometimes you'll get a resort that has, you can do whatever you want. We've got 3 swimming pools and 6 restaurants, but also, hey, we're having whatever, water aerobics, or we're doing a hike, or we're all going to go to the donkey rescue or something like that as well. And that stuff can also get promoted that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to go on a hike or donkey rescues on my vacation, but I'm sure that somebody does.
I say that because I actually went to a donkey rescue on vacation, and it was a little bit sad, but also kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can rescue a donkey, it's nice to give back.
To the donkey community. Yeah. So, like you said, you're seeing more and more of this kind of like a way to get sort of immediate ROI and immediate analytics with this, like, hey, put your phone number in here and we'll text you the information. Do you see also people publishing their message playlists of the messages that are rotating through on the digital signs to other locations like web pages, or if it's for employees, intranets and things like this? Or is it really just focusing on the screens themselves?
No, I've seen both. Obviously, you want to do whatever you can to maximize whatever it is you're trying to promote, whatever you've invested in. So I've seen, screens that have QR codes, and you scan the QR code and it takes you to their website, or it takes you to something different than what you're experiencing perhaps inside the actual retail location. They're, just the thing is just limitless. You can, scan a code and then be part of their rewards program, which that's a really key, component to retail, because the reason why everybody has the reward program is because now they have your information. They have your, your trades, your shopping style, your likes, your dislikes, etc. But most importantly, they've got your email and your phone number and your address, so they can continue to be in contact with you.
Do you see, what about like people using smaller screens? Like, do you see people using like e-ink room signs and things like this? If they don't have a whole bunch of space, they want to put the information up. They don't care that if it's color or not, and they just need something small to be able to message people.
Sure. Yeah. It's all about just being able to help communicate better. So whether that be, a small screen, an e-ink screen, a 10-inch monitor, or, however large the monitor of the screen, it doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, the space management does matter as far as, if you had a great big, huge space, picture a big box store, and you had a little small 7-inch screen, then it's not going to get the attention and the audience that you would want. But that being said, your audience is going to be right in front of it. So the size of it, could be any shape or size. It's just a matter of what are you trying to communicate and to how many people.
So digital signage is immensely scalable, from one shop and one small sign to a whole bunch of digital signs spread out over a large area. Lots of different kinds of things can be put on there. And it's just honestly a great solution for any kind of retail business. And not just for the public, but for keeping your employees active and engaged and informed as well. Anything from an international hotel chain to a corner grocery store can benefit from retail digital signage, and everything in between, I would say. I'd like to thank Jason Cain for talking to me today. He is the region sales manager for South Central in the United States. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody, once again for listening. For more free stuff, head to resources on Visix.com for guides, videos, and more to help with your visual communications. Please subscribe and share, and contact us for information about our digital signage solutions.